Mother Teresa, to me, an icon of compassionate care for the poor and the disadvantaged.
Mother Teresa was baptized Agnes Gonja Boyajiu in Skopje, Macedonia, around August 26, 1910. Born of Albanian descent, she joined the Loreto Sisters of Dublin, Ireland, at the age of 18 and took the name Sister Mary Teresa.
One of the reasons some religious members take on new names, they have a favorite saint, or they have someone who embodies for them a vision. Like Pope Francis, it's Francis of Assisi.
In 1931, Mother Teresa traveled to Calcutta, India, to teach at an all-girls high school. But on September 10, 1946, a second calling from Christ led Mother Teresa to leave her convent and devote herself to working with the poorest of the poor. With Vatican permission, in 1950, Mother Teresa created the Missionaries of Charity.
Mother Teresa is one of the great humanitarians of the 20th century because of her ability to love those who were the most vulnerable in society. The work she did in India really challenged entrenched notions of caste and gender roles, and she worked very closely with lepers and other people who were disenfranchised, marginalized, dispossessed.
During the 60s, Mother Teresa opened hospices, orphanages, and leper houses all over India, and later expanded internationally. In 1982, during the siege of Beirut, Mother Teresa traveled through a war zone to evacuate 37 children, and later assisted radiation victims at Chernobyl and earthquake victims in Armenia.
Mother Teresa cares about people. She recognizes their spiritual dignity. She takes care of not just their spiritual needs, but their bodily needs as well. And she gathers other people to help her do that. That, in my mind, is a good humanitarian.
In 1979, Mother Teresa was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and donated the $192,000 prize fund to the poor in India. 6 years later, President Ronald Reagan awarded her with a Presidential Medal of Freedom. By 1986, Mother Teresa operated 517 missions in more than 100 countries.
A very charismatic nun, this little old nun with the wrinkled face and the very simple white sari, caring for the dying on the street, people that have so little hope. That's one of the reasons that she was given the Nobel Prize.
After years of suffering from heart, lung, and kidney problems, Mother Teresa died on September 5, 1997. 2 years later, Pope John Paul II opened a formal process toward beatification to make Mother Teresa an official Catholic saint.
Calcutta is India's third largest city and home to 15 million people, 2/3 of whom live in slums, temporary housing, or on the road. It was in this chaotic city that Mother Teresa set up her first clinic in 1952, the Kalighat Home for the Sick and Dying. 13 years after her death, Calcutta's poorest still come here in search of food, care, and shelter.
Hello, how are we doing today? It's time to change your clothes.
Little else has changed here over the last 6 decades. Sister Glenda believes their work is just as relevant today.
Where mother came, mother saw the special need of Calcutta, so mother started. Even that need arises even today. Jesus has told, "Poor are always with you."
The white and blue saris of the sisters have become a part of the landscape of this former capital of British India. The Missionaries of Charity run 12 centres in the city, each looking after a different need. The sisters care for orphans, the sick and the elderly, irrespective of their religion or caste. Anita has a broken leg and has been receiving treatment for a week.
I had nowhere else to go. My children left me here as this was the only place that was willing to treat me free of charge.
Despite the efforts of the Missionaries of Charity and other humanitarian organizations, Calcutta's grinding poverty persists. Thousands of villagers come to the city every week in search of work and a better life, but opportunities are rare. The textile industry, which employed thousands, has shifted to Bangladesh, and the local communist administration's failure to attract investment has meant that Calcutta's sluggish economic growth hasn't kept pace with other large Indian cities. This former editor of the Statesman newspaper has been witness to Calcutta's problems over the decades.
Calcutta has been a metaphor for urban decay, for deprivation, for destitution for a long time. But Mother Teresa's efforts to feed people, to give them homes. It was an individualistic kind of effort. That makes no difference to society as a whole. It doesn't provide people with jobs, with food, with shelter, with education. And those are the things that we need here.
100 years after her birth, Mother Teresa's admirers continue to flock to her tomb to pray and thank this remarkable woman for her contributions. But her work remains unfinished, and Calcutta and its poor will need her followers to ensure it carries on.